As the last sliver of moonlight in 1284 slanted across a parchment in the ancient courts of Seville, the entire city was immersed in a haunting, breathless silence. Outside, the rebel forces of his once beloved son had besieged this final refuge. Yet, under the flicker of a dying oil lamp, an old man with snowy hair and eyes of piercing clarity used his trembling fingers to correct the final line of astronomical data. He was not penning a desperate plea for salvation, he was calculating the trajectory of a comet that would not grace these skies again for centuries. This patriarch inscribed a sentence as lucid as glacial ice: "If the Lord Almighty had consulted me before embarking on creation, I should have recommended something simpler and more harmonious." He was Alfonso X, history's only stargazing emperor. This is a chronicle of the pursuit of truth amidst the collapse of worldly order. The genesis of Alfonso X's life was a relay of profound inclusivity, conducted within the cultural fissures of his time. He inherited a Spain still gasping for breath after long wars, a land woven from the disparate threads of Islamic, Jewish, and Christian civilizations. Young and elegant, he eschewed the blind conquests favored by his peers, turning instead to the scriptorium of Toledo, a sanctuary overflowing with manuscripts. Within those mosaic-encrusted Eastern studies, he learned to construct logic and discern the rhythm of the universe amidst the polyphony of languages. This near-obsessive quest for order became his sole weapon against a chaotic reality. He understood that prosperity was not something to be snatched away in plunder, but a sacred logic that emerged naturally from an ultimate reverence for universal law, history, and justice. If his early studies were a baptism of the spirit, the subsequent compilation of the Alphonsine tables was the practical crucible that pushed his aesthetics of order to its zenith. He summoned the world's foremost scientists to observe the heavens night and day from the high towers of Toledo. He promulgated the Siete Partidas, attempting for the first time to transmute divine justice into words reachable by mortal hands. This mercy was bloodless, yet it forged Castile into an intellectual power standing upon stone foundations. In those moments, Alfonso X was the most solitary yet steadfast craftsman in all of Central Europe, accepting the mockery of neighboring realms with silence. His radical focus rendered him like a marble bell tower amidst turbulent times, isolated, yet indestructible. The scales of power often tilt decisively at a single point of rejection. For the phantom dream of becoming the Holy Roman Emperor, he overextended the treasury and exhausted the patience of his subjects. In the early 1280s, the most harrowing betrayal descended. His son Sancho raised the banner of rebellion, exiling his aged father from the capital. In the deep nights of exile, he returned ever more frequently to his star charts, contemplating why the upheavals of men always outpaced the movements of the stars. In a letter to a friend he noted, "I once believed I was conquering height, now I find I am merely seeking a point of convergence where the soul no longer falls." This expansive clarity, born of witnessing the ebb and flow of worldly ambition, became the most unyielding armor of his twilight years, allowing him to maintain a composure as seamless as a closed celestial orbit. The final days of Alfonso X were spent in a state of profound solemnity and the sacred silence of a master artisan. In the early summer of 1284, the rains over Seville fell without a sound. By now, Alfonso's body was exceedingly frail, his once resplendent imperial robes hanging loosely upon his gaunt frame. He understood that after his death, the realm would embark upon an unpredictable era, yet, he cared more that the Alphonsine tables would ultimately serve as a ladder for humanity to escape the mire of ignorance. In the dead of night, the old king peacefully closed his eyes, his hands still clutching a scale. The moonlight illuminated the unfinished sky outside and the countenance of a sage who had finally found liberation. He left behind a celestial equilibrium that remains soul-shaking even 7 centuries later. Even today, the name of Alfonso X remains a resonant echo for many a restless seeker in the dead of night. He left behind no inaccessible military glories, but a spiritual template of focus and benevolence. He reminds us that even if the entire world denies you, the order within your heart is governed solely by your steadfastness to truth. He was one of those rare figures in history who truly managed to cross boundaries, preserving absolute poetry amidst absolute science, and absolute tranquility amidst absolute mockery. The capital of Sargon has crumbled, and the island of Napoleon has sunk into the past, yet the star trails drawn by Alfonso X have crossed the boundaries of geography and time, living on in every soul that yearns for reality and the unknown. The saga of Alfonso X thus draws to a slow close amidst the fading echoes of the Seville bell towers. He was never a master of absolute joy, he was merely a weary soul who steadfastly refused to compromise with mediocrity. He teaches us that no matter how clamorous your life may be, or how deep your isolation, that inner focus is your sole and eternal sanctuary. Just as he sat alone through the coldest winter nights, clutching a guttering candle to find a fulcrum for existence within the void. Perhaps you, too, are navigating the uncertainties of life or feeling the weight of isolation. But believe this, in every life, there exists a stargazing tower of one's own, a private space for dialogue with a self that requires no outward display. May the resilience and vastness of Alfonso X become the softest feather in your dreams. Good night.